Everyone knows this story, boy beats giant. And most retellings stop right there, like the point of it was just that an underdog won one. That is not actually the point, and once you see what the story is really saying, Plucky Kid Gets Lucky stops making any sense at all. Quick recap. Two armies are camped on opposite hills, staring across a valley, and neither one is moving. Every day the same thing happens. The Philistine champion, a genuine giant of a man in full armor, walks out and shouts a challenge across the valley. "Send me your best man. One-on-one, winner takes the war." And every day, Israel's army looks at him and does not answer. For 40 days. An entire army frozen because there is nobody willing to walk out there. Then a shepherd boy shows up, not even a soldier, sent by his father to bring food to his older brothers. And he hears this challenge, and he asks the question nobody else seems to be asking out loud. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he gets to defy the armies of the living God? That line matters. David is not offended that someone is scary. He is offended that fear of a man has replaced trust in God, in the camp of God's own people. He volunteers. King Saul understandably thinks this is a terrible idea and offers David his own armor and sword. David puts it on, tries to walk, and takes it right back off, because he has never used it, and it is not how he fights. What he picks instead is what he already knows, a sling and 5 smooth stones from the stream. Now here is where the story usually gets flattened, and where I want to slow down, because this part is not opposed to faith, it is actually part of it. David does not walk out there hoping God does something. He walks out there already certain, and he says why, right to Goliath's face, before the fight even starts. "You come to me with sword and spear. I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel. This day the Lord will hand you over to me. The whole earth will know there is a God in Israel, and everyone here will know the Lord saves not by sword or spear, for the battle belongs to the Lord." That is not a boy hoping. That is a boy who has already decided how this ends, before the stone even leaves his hand. And it is worth understanding just how ready he actually was, because David is not throwing a rock and hoping for the best. In the ancient world, a trained slinger was a real weapon system capable of hitting a target at 30 or 40 yards with force historians have compared to a thrown punch from a firearm. David tells us himself plainly that he has already used this exact skill to kill a lion and a bear that came for his flock. Years alone in the hills guarding sheep nobody was watching him guard, had quietly built the exact tool God was about to use. That is worth sitting with. Long before the giant, God was already preparing David in the ordinary, unnoticed work of watching sheep. And Goliath, for his part, has no idea what is coming. The text goes out of its way to describe him in enormous detail, his height, the weight of his armor, the weight of his spearhead, more detail than almost anyone else in these accounts gets. Some scholars who have studied that description closely have pointed out it reads less like simple exaggeration and more like a description of a real medical condition, a pituitary disorder that can cause both great height and impaired vision. The text even mentions, almost as a throwaway line, that a shield-bearer walked in front of him, a small human detail in a man everyone assumed was untouchable. None of that shrinks the miracle. If anything, it sharpens it. This was not a fair fight that David happened to win. It was a completely lopsided one, and the imbalance ran the opposite direction everyone assumed. Goliath sees a boy with a stick and reads insult into it, because he is judging by the only measure he has, size and armor and reputation. David sees the same moment and is not measuring by any of that at all. One stone. To the forehead, the one place the armor did not cover. The giant who spent 40 days making an entire army too afraid to move goes down before the duel he expected has even started. So what is the actual lesson here once you stop flattening it into the little guy can win too? It is that David's courage was not blind. It was faith working through years of quiet preparation, and it was aimed at something bigger than himself. He was not trying to prove what a shepherd boy could do. He said it himself so that the whole earth would know there is a God in Israel. The skill, the stones, the sling, none of that replaces the faith in this story. It is what faith looked like, worked out in someone's hands. The armies of Israel had a God who saves not by sword or spear. The only question the story leaves you with is the one David asked before anyone else would. Who is standing in front of you that fear of them has replaced your trust in God?